In today's video, I have 5 more recommendations for movies within the Criterion collection for you to take on board and perhaps buy during a Criterion sale, such as the Barnes & Noble 50% off, which is going on as of time of recording. Hello everyone, my name's Elliot, and thanks to everyone who's been watching my Criterion videos lately. I hope you've been able to pick up some new films and add some new ones to your watch list. So today I have 5 more movies within the Criterion collection to recommend to you. Now, I consider all of these to be underrated, and your mileage may vary. You might think some of these are not underrated. The whole point of this is I wish more people would see these films, and that would mean I would get to talk about them with more people. So hopefully I'll achieve that with this video. To kick things off, I want to recommend Clooney Brown. This is the film from Ernst Lubitsch. Now, Ernst Lubitsch is perhaps not an underrated director when you look at the history of cinema. He is very well regarded, indeed, and for good reason. You see that in this film. However, this film often doesn't get mentioned in terms of his all-time greatest films, and that's why I'd want to shine a light on this one. The film follows Jennifer Jones playing the titular character Clooney Brown, and she is just amazing in this role. She has such a comedic timing to her delivery, and you just can't take your eyes off her when she's on screen. Her character Clooney has a particular knack for plumbing, and she ends up becoming a maid at this big rich manor for this very bourgeois family. And there's a lot of comedy there because she's not meant to be there really. And some of the characters think that this other character is someone else when they're not actually that person. I won't spoil any of the story, but there's a lot of, I don't know what you'd call it, mistaken identity in this film. What I really like about this film in particular, beyond Lubitsch's comedic touch, is that he's addressing social issues in Britain at the time. So Clooney is very good at plumbing, as I mentioned, which is not typically seen as a woman's role in society at the time. It also points a finger at class in society in Britain at the time. And like many great satires, it makes the rich people out to be idiots and the lower working class people to be actually rather quite intelligent and very good at what they do. It's farcical, satirical, but a really enjoyable watch, and that's why I love this disc. It also looks great on the 4K digital restoration with a whole bunch of special features, some interviews and conversations about Lubitsch. So yes, I have to recommend Clooney Brown. Next up, I have to recommend The Ballad of Gregorio Cortez. This is a western from the early 1980s, directed by Robert M. Young, starring the great Edward James Olmos in the titular role of Gregorio Cortez. This is a western unlike any other really, and definitely follows in the footsteps of the revisionist westerns that were being made in America in the 1970s. It just has a great spirit to it. The story follows Gregorio Cortez, who has killed a man of the law and is now on the run from his pursuers. And the film takes the perspective of him and also that of the people in pursuit. So it's quite interesting looking at the dynamic of those two perspectives. The film has such an interesting atmosphere because at once it is quite realistic. It's going for quite a realistic look at the crime and bringing someone to justice and the real fear of someone as they're being pursued. So it's shot in kind of a handheld verite style, but at the same time there is a magical element to this. The title, The Ballad, suggests that it's quite lyrical, quite poetic, and it definitely feels like that, almost like a Terrence Malick movie such as Days of Heaven or Badlands would actually be quite a good analogue to this because that is about people on the run. I truly do think this film is underrated. I don't hear anyone talk about it, yet it is a beautiful film to look at, to listen to, and just to live in. It's a wonderful film, and I really do hope more people can seek this one out. As always with the Criterion discs, there's special features on here that really do enhance the understanding of the film, and some of the filmmakers look back at the film and how important it was to starting their careers. So a great disc. I highly recommend this film. My next recommendation is this, Lonesome, the film from Paul Feos. This is a silent film from the 1920s, which came just as sound was coming into the picture, so to speak. It's a wonderful look at being lonely and seeking a relationship, seeking love in a very busy place where you can easily get lost among the crowd, and how love finds a way in the end. I think it's a beautiful look at the locations, Coney Island, New York City, and it's really interesting as a relic of the past, because while it is a silent film, there are 3 sections which do have sound, which are intercut. And to be honest, all 3 of those sound sections really are nowhere near as good as the silent portions of the film. So that really goes to show that early on, people didn't know what they were doing with sound. They didn't know how to act in sound. They obviously couldn't move because the microphones had to be fixed in place. So it's really an interesting look at that period of cinema. I really do hope you can give this film a chance, particularly if you do like silent films. It's quite short, only 69 minutes long, and you get a bunch of stuff on the disc, including more films from the director in the special features. So there's some great value in this, and again, I don't hear anyone talk about this. I rarely see this on people's sale hauls or their favourite lists in the collection, so I wanted to just shine a bit of light on Lonesome. This next film I have talked about on the channel before, somewhat recently, but I have to repeat myself because it is a great film and truly underrated in my opinion. It's Original Cast Album Company, the documentary from D.A. Pennebaker. This is a documentary that was filmed during the making of the cast album for the Broadway feature Company, and it's looking at the cast and the crew of the musical as they record this album in the studio. What is so miraculous about this documentary is it has such an immediacy. You could tell that the documentary makers didn't have much time to get this done. The cast and crew of Company didn't have much time to get the album recorded, and everyone was at their wits' end because you can tell they'd been doing this album and these songs for such a long time, and they really were getting tired of it by the end. The film culminates in such a heart-rending performance, and it really is amazing that this was captured on screen by the documentary makers. You really do have to see it to believe it, and I hope that you can give this one a chance, even if you're not a fan of musical theatre or musical documentaries. It's just a very enjoyable watch, and it's very short. It's only roughly 50 minutes long, so it doesn't take up much time in your day if you just want a short film to watch. You've got tons of special features on the disc for you to enjoy, but my favourite is the spoof documentary from the TV series Documentary Now that is basically making fun of this. It's brilliant and it's great to watch after you've watched this, so I highly recommend this film to everyone. This next film I watched quite recently for the very first time, and frankly I was blown away by how good it was. It is The Black Stallion from Carol Ballad. The film tells the story of a young boy and a horse that were travelling separately on a ship which ends up sinking, and the horse and the boy get stranded on this island, and it's only together that they can survive. The second half of the film looks at the connection between the boy and the horse as they get reintegrated into normal life. It really is a beautiful film. I'm going to use the word again. It's quite lyrical, poetic, and just a beautiful film to look at. The film was produced by Francis Ford Coppola through his Zoetrope Studios company, and the score for the film, which is excellent, was done by Francis's father, Carmine Coppola. It really is a wonderful, touching, beautiful film on a 4K digital restoration on the Criterion disc with a bunch of special features to enhance your viewing. So I hope that I can put this one on a few more people's radars, because I think it is an underrated film. So that just happened to be 5 films that I think are underrated within the Criterion collection. If you enjoyed these recommendations, then please do watch the video that is presented on screen to you now, because I will be showing you more films in that video to recommend to you to pick up during a Criterion sale, for example. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.